Hey guys, so welcome to the long sections guide for drafting. Similar to cross sections, it's conditional upon having a corridor and therefore an alignment. So here in the corridors, just make sure we have the right alignment and we're referencing all the surfaces we want in the long section. So we just open up our plan set here, go into long sections, we'll right click and go edit, and then we'll pick our corridor. So here we're in the sheet settings, it's A3, so we're good with that. You don't really need to change the plottable area. So in the sheet layout, you want to make a couple of changes in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click draw border so I can see what kind of area we're working with. So straight away I can see we're not maximizing the space available. So I'm just going to make a couple of adjustments here to the widths and heights. So after adjusting the widths and heights here, I can see it's not centered. So I'm just adjusting the offset here. If we want to have the plan view running on top of the long section, we would turn plan on, but for this example, we're having no plan, so I've set plan location to no plan. Within these settings here, the vertical separation specifies the distance between the plan diagram and the profile diagram on the sheet. For station layout, we have two options here. We have top to bottom and bottom to top. For this example, I'm going to use bottom to top. It will move the long section to the bottom of the page so that if I need to increase the vertical exaggeration, the long section will fit on the page. You will see that this long section is split, and this is likely due to the alignment having steep drops and climbs. So you'll need to play around with the horizontal and vertical exaggeration to get it right. In this example, in a horizontal scale of 2000 and a vertical exaggeration of 5 seems to work well, so I've gone with that. You can also play around with the profile heights to make sure the long section fits on the page and also so that it doesn't split. I found 250 worked well with. After finding a suitable horizontal scale, you'll now want to adjust the profile table depending on what kind of chainage interval you'd like. For this example, I want to have changes running every 25 meters for my long section. So we'll go into the profile table quickly to adjust the setting for this. We want to make sure we have use a regular interval checked. And you'll see here that we have it set at 100 mils currently. To figure out what kind of interval you need, you'll need to divide the chainage in meters by the horizontal scale. For this example, I want to do every 25 meters, so it will be 25 divided by 2000, which gives me 0.0125, which is 12.5 mils. So I'm going to go ahead and put 12.5 mils here, and I should get a chainage every 25 meters. You'll see now that it's separated by 25 meter intervals. We can now go back into the sheet layout and uncheck the draw border. In the profile diagram settings, we can limit by a chainage range. I have found that this doesn't work perfectly as there's some sort of rounding involved, where the software will round to the nearest chainage to fill the page. In this particular example, I've limited it between 0 and 500, but you'll see it'll stretch it out to 640. Another example here, I've gone to 1000, and you'll see it's stretched out to 1150. In the profile diagram settings, you can also break the long section. You can move a chainage to a new page. You can start the long section on a new page at a particular chainage. And I'll show you some examples here. Here I'm breaking up the long section at chainage 200. Here I want the sheet to start at 300 on a new page. Since I don't want to have any breaks in this long section, I'm going to remove these. As stated earlier, I don't have a plan running alongside the long section, so I don't have to make any changes in here. Don't have any grids and axes in our long section, so I can skip those. Let's take a look at surfaces now. At the parent level, we can untick things we don't want to see. For example, here, I've unchecked the existing ground. You can also expand the surfaces. Click on the child level, like design, and change the color. Here I can change it to magenta if I like. Currently, there are no lines that we need referenced in our dataset. However, if you would like to see an underground cable or sewer line, for example, you can add it as a reference line and it will be displayed in the long section. The line string will need to be referenced in the corridor and the name must match what is defined in the reference line settings. In the design labels, typically we only want to see the vertical point of intersection, so I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck everything else. If we want to make any changes to these labels, all we have to do again is we just have to expand them and then we can go into the particular thing we want to change. For example, if we want to change the offset of the reduced level, we can inside here, or same with the IP and the curve length. You can also add a rotation if you like. I'm happy with these settings, so I'm just going to move on here. The segment labels are showing our slopes, so that's fine. We can leave those. Here are the curve table settings. You can turn these on if you wish, but this information is already currently being displayed in the vertical alignment geometry section of the long section, so we'll just leave it turned off for now. In the profile table settings, we can turn on nodes if we want that tie to a certain surface. You just have to check those on and off here. There aren't any additional nodes that I want displayed, so I'm just going to leave it as is. If you want to make changes to the datum, you can go to the datum label settings. In here, I want to add meters after datum, so I just hit the three dots next to label and just add meters. Z here is the code and 3 is the amount of decimal places we want. I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to leave it as is. You can also make changes to the offset and the rotation. You'll notice here that there are no RLs in the existing RL row of the long section, so we'll need to make an adjustment here. The reason that it's not displaying here is because our template is referencing a surface called original ground, which is not what the name of the surface for the existing RL is, so we'll need to change that in here. So I'll hit the button with the three dots and the label settings command window will pop up. I'm just going to get rid of the old tag that was there. So underneath tab, you'll notice there are four options: chainage, difference, and elevation. We already have a chainage tag running for the chainage section of the long section. If we want to display the difference between two particular surfaces, we can do that by selecting the difference tag. Here we're looking for an elevation tag because we want to know the RL of the existing surface at a particular chainage. So my surface, I'm going to select the surface, which is called existing ground, and then I'm going to hit add. It will generate the code tag for me and I'll just need to press OK. And now you'll notice that the existing RLs are now displayed. If we want to turn on the horizontal alignment geometry, you can simply turn on the label here. Make sure we have horizontal alignment geometry selected in the geometry section. If you want to add a row, you just have to go to rows in the settings tree and hit new. In this new row here, I'm going to use a difference tag to show the difference between the design and the existing ground surface. So I just remove the old tag and add in the new label, go OK, and I give it a title. Now we want to make sure we fill out all the details, client names, address, the project name, subheadings, the drawing description. Once we're happy with that, we can go ahead and build our sheets. When the sheets are built, all the lines and text are exploded, so we can modify that after. Please be aware that if you make any changes here and you rebuild the sheets, it will reset all those settings you've made after. So make sure you're happy with your sheets and then you can make the adjustments after. Now we're just going to print our long section. So we just go into the drafting ribbon here and then we go to print plan set. I'm going to print a single sheet set here and I'm going to select my long section. Make sure we tick print to PDF and then we pick a location to save the document. Give it a name and press save. Once you've hit save, you can press OK and it will now print the long section to PDF. And that's it. Thanks guys. Have a good one. Cheers.